was a flying where they sat for 67 minutes on the way home.
I just know
wild bullshit.
If it doesn't matter where you sit for 67 minutes, why did you book yourself and your husband in first class and them all in coach?
Because it was my goddamn credit card.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 5, Episode 10. And before we get into it, first things first, breakfast at Mary's had me gagged. This whole entire episode, I was screaming. Mary, when you shared that part about Jared Osmond in your DMs, I said, wait, what? Let me find out that you might be leaving your step-grandfather for Brittany's man who's not her man. But we'll talk about that later on. Now, Miss Brittany girl, hold my hand and come close. Respectfully, it's time for you to go and see the lady. And Miss Meredith, you know I love you down. But I'm sorry, Miss Mamas, I'm gonna have to gently tap you on the wrist. I'm gonna have to give you a cute little whack because you tried it at the end. And another thing, I think that Meredith would really do well on a soap opera because the dramatics, the storming out all the time, and the theatrics of it all, she would be perfect. Now, I will be spilling a bit of tea throughout the recap because if you guys don't know, last Tuesday, I was invited by Bravo to go hang out with the SLC ladies. It was an SLC takeover with the ice cream brand Van Leeuwen. And it was Angie, Mary, and Bronwyn serving us some ice cream. And it was also really cool because at the end, I got to interview Bronwyn for a few minutes. And it was a fun time. But Mary served me up some ice cream, gave me a very generous scoop, I might add. And it was so funny because at one point, she says, I hate when I go and get ice cream and they're stingy with it. And I said, girl, me too. And you know who else was there? Todd was there. Yes, honey, the Todd father was there. He was actually friendly. He had a smile on his face. I said hello to him. He said hello to me. Asked me how I was doing. I said, I'm well. How are you? So I said, okay, Todd, because I was whacking you in my last recap, and I'm going to have to whack you again in this recap. But in person at the ice cream shop, he was lovely. So I will give him that. But before we get into the video, a special thank you to my friends over at Manscaped, who are the sponsors of today's recap. This holiday season, give him the gift of confidence with the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra by Manscaped. Whether it's for your partner, brother, or a friend who could use a grooming upgrade, this all-in-one set has everything he needs to look and feel his best. From staying fresh to keeping sharp, it's the perfect way to show you care. Because every guy deserves to feel a little more polished this winter. Make his holiday one to remember with the ultimate grooming experience. Gift him the Weed Whacker 2.0 to tame those rogue hairs and the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra to keep everything else in check. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is his ultimate holiday helper, taking care of everything from below-the-waist maintenance to taming those rogue nose and ear hairs. Think of it as a seasonal survival kit, keeping him clean, confident, and ready to dominate cuffing season and all the festive gatherings ahead. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra Groin and Body Hair Trimmer, this is the star of his holiday grooming lineup. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra delivers precise, smooth trimming every time. It's reliable, efficient, and ready to perform, whether he's prepping for a holiday date night, an office party, or just staying fresh for family gatherings. And then we have the Weed Whacker 2.0 Ear and Nose Hair Trimmer. The last thing any guy needs during the holidays is an unexpected nose or ear hair making a surprise appearance at the dinner table. The Weed Whacker 2.0 is here to handle those details like a pro, making sure he stays neat and polished for every holiday event. And now we have the Ball Aftercare. After a close shave, he'll want to give his most precious ornaments some much-needed TLC. The Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion and Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant will keep him fresh, comfortable, and ready to slay all day. And if that wasn't enough, he'll get free gifts included. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra doesn't just stop at grooming essentials. It also comes with 2 holiday bonuses, the Boxers 2.0 Midnight Bravo and the Shed 2.0 Toiletry Bag. These premium extras make sure he's always ready to jingle and mingle, whether at home or on the go. So have him join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, and get ready for kickoff by heading over to manscaped.com. Use the code BrookeAshley for 20% off plus free shipping. Trust me, you'll be drafting the real MVP of grooming this season. But without further ado, let's get right on into it, because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. Now, production has been A1 this season because I love the way they opened up the episode. We start things off with Mary getting ready for her breakfast at Tiffany's party. We have a narrator. We see her staff. Mary's instructing them on what she wants on the table, how she wants things to look. Again, production has been on point this season, because when they were on the Milwaukee trip, they had that Laverne and Shirley opener. I was like, oh my gosh, SLC is really pulling out all the stops. So now we jump on over to Lisa, and she's at that famous hat store, Kimosabe. Now remember all the drama that went down that one season on Beverly Hills when they were in Aspen at Kimosabe, and Kathy Hilton got mad because they didn't drink her tequila. They were drinking Kendall Jenner's tequila. But Kimosabe has a bunch of locations. They have the one in Aspen, they have the one in Utah and Park City, and a few other places. But anyhow, I digress. So Heather arrives and she's like, wait, it's a hat store? I thought it was a sushi bar because I thought Sabe was short for wasabi. And I said, Heather, you don't Google places before you go? And also, Heather, I know that you watch all the other cities, so I'm pretty sure that you knew that Kimosabe was a hat store. I said, girl, stop playing. And then Heather makes a joke saying that she's starving and surrounded by hats. I said, well, girl, that's your fault for leaving your house hungry. And you're with the fast food queen. I'm sure there's a Wendy's around. You and Lisa can go there afterwards. You'll be okay. So now one of the employees takes them both to the secret bar in the store, and they both order some spicy margaritas. And now Lisa turns to Heather and she starts talking about the trip. So Lisa says, Heather, I really missed you on the trip, and I did not like being on that trip without you. Now, Lisa, I understand that you and Heather are getting closer, but since when are you and Heather so locked in like this? Because it's not adding up. Lisa has never seen it for Heather in that way. And now to hear her act like they're just so close and they're best friends now, I'm sorry, sis, but we're not buying this. It's giving a forced alliance to ice out fellow newbies who come on this show. Because you're not going to sit up here and convince me that all of a sudden now you and Heather are best friends. So Heather's like, I've never been excluded like that before in my life and it hurt. I said, girl, shut up. Because your whole entire life has been you feeling like the misfit or the outcast. So you want to tell me now that you've never felt left out? And also, let's not forget, you came to Bronwyn's house to fight. You were in that lady's home, disrespectful, being smug, being sarcastic. So how in your pea brain do you figure that you'd be invited on this trip that she's hosting with her husband? Let's be so for real. There should be no confusion about why you were left out. And one thing I can't stand is when people put extra sauce on a story or they retell the story completely wrong. And I've noticed that Heather and Lisa do that a lot. Because the way Lisa chopped up what really happened, I said, okay, girl, please don't do that. So Lisa says, she told us that she invited you to her home and you just called her venomous and then you stormed out and she was in tears. And I said, again, Lisa, if you're going to retell a story, tell it correctly. Because Bronwyn told you that Heather had told her that she was two-faced and she was terrified of Bronwyn. You left out the fact that Bronwyn told you guys that she was pleading with Heather to just make up with her, make amends, and accept her apology. So now Lisa shares that Bronwyn was upset when they FaceTimed her at the hot tub. And Heather's like, wait, she was mad that you called me, but she wanted to invite me on the trip? How does that work? I said, well, if somebody called your enemy on the phone on a vacation that you're hosting and paying for, you too would be upset. To see Heather play dumb and play in our faces like this is insulting. And Heather, I don't know why you're trying to rebrand as this mean girl, but it's not a good look and you're not doing a good job at it. That's not who you are. And it's very obvious that you're threatened by Bronwyn. So now Lisa interjects and she says, yeah, I mean, I was just so shocked by her reaction. It made no sense to me. And I said, of course it didn't, Lisa, because if it's not about you and your feelings, you don't care. Lisa is very one-sided. She wants everybody to have her back and be loyal to her. But when it comes to her having your back, she's nowhere to be found. Lisa knows good and damn well that if somebody called up her enemy on a vacation that she was paying for, she would be insulted. The gall and the audacity for her to act like she can't understand where Bronwyn is coming from is pure insanity. So now you have Lisa making herself out to be the victim yet again. She says, and oh, if you thought that was bad, after that whole thing happened, Todd told me and John that we had to leave if I couldn't get it together. So Heather's like, wait, what? He asked you to leave? Are you serious? So Lisa's like, yeah, I couldn't have done anything right on that trip. I said, Lisa, are you serious right now? Are we really doing that? Can we talk about in the first episode of this season? Didn't you kick Whitney out of your Bezos dinner because you were upset with her? So it's okay when you kick somebody out of one of your events, but when somebody returns that same energy, when you're showing your ass, now you're the victim? I can assure you that if Lisa and John were paying for a vacation and somebody showed out like that, they would kick them out too. So now Lisa says, despite all the drama that went down on the trip, she did end in a good place with Bronwyn. So Heather's like, well, I'm happy to hear that. I really am. I said, girl, no, you're not. So here's what really annoyed me. When Lisa goes on to say that she's not trying to be in the middle of Heather and Bronwyn's drama, but Bronwyn put her in that position when she made her speak for Heather. I said, that's not what happened. Why is Lisa rewriting history? Bronwyn simply said to you, can you please have my back? Me and you have been friends for a long time. The next time Heather bashes me, can you just say, that's not the Bronwyn I know? Period, the end. For you to now twist this around and act like Bronwyn is trying to force you to speak for Heather and be her spokesperson, that's not what this is whatsoever, and you know that, Lisa. What are we doing here? And Heather proved my point by this one statement when she said, at the end of the day, Bronwyn's not going to just come into this group when we're all foxhole friends. We've been through the fire together. I said, now, two things. Heather, if you think that the viewers want to watch another Fox Force 5 on Salt Lake City, please think again. We hated that whole clique on Beverly Hills. We don't want to see it here. Also, let's talk about how triggered and bothered you are by how well Bronwyn is fitting into the group. Because you've been on this show since the beginning, and it's been real touch and go for you in terms of friendships. And you've never been that girl. And I think that you feel a way about the new girl taking your shine and having a moment, and doing it well, I might add, is bothering you. And one more thing, Heather, it's apparent that your iconic moment that took place when you exposed Monica, that one moment has gone to your head and really gassed you up. Because for you to say, well, you're going to teach Bronwyn something, I said, girl, what? Who do you think you are? And honestly, Heather, I want you to let what happened last season go. What happened, happened. Monica is no longer on the show. Yes, you had your iconic one-liner, receipts, proof, screenshots, timeline. Okay, it was a cute moment, but the time has passed. We're off of that now. And you want to hold on to that so badly, but you're going a bit overboard. It's time to move on. And for you to act like you have all these trust issues is comical because you're the same woman who sat there and lied for an entire year about who gave you that black eye. Now, mind you, we see a parallel scene with Bronwyn and Todd at home. So they're both outside. They have some cookies, and Todd is visibly upset. His arms are folded. I said, can we ever see Todd looking happy? Why are his arms folded every single scene? How does Bronwyn deal with this? I mean, I understand the money is long, but you need to have some other stuff besides money. If you're going to be all sour and be grumpy, can you at least look like George Clooney? I'm just saying. So it's a bit tense between Bronwyn and Todd, and Bronwyn starts off by saying that she left the trip feeling a type of way about where her and Lisa stand. So Todd says, In the 10 years that we've been married, I've never seen you act like that. So now he goes on to say that to see Bronwyn screaming at the hot tub was ridiculous. So Bronwyn's like, wait, you thought I was screaming? And he says, yeah, I was there. I saw the whole thing go down. And I said, now, Todd, she wasn't screaming. Was her voice raised? Yes. Was it elevated? Yes. But I didn't think that she was screaming. Did you guys think that she was screaming? Let me know. So Todd goes on to say, what did you accomplish by doing that? Nothing. You ruined a perfectly nice afternoon. So she's like, wait, I ruined the afternoon? And Todd says, yeah, that's my opinion. So first things first, I did not like the way Todd was talking to her. His tone, and it felt like he was scolding his daughter. This did not look like a husband and a wife having a conversation. If you do feel like your spouse is wrong, there's still a way to say that. For all the experts, all the married people who watch me, would you mind dropping down with your opinion? Did you feel like Todd was chastising her like she was a child? Would you be pissed if your spouse talked to you like that? Let me know. But I was very put off by the way he spoke to her in this moment. And when Bronwyn said that Todd's approval means everything to her, I said, excuse me? I said this in my last recap, but it's obvious that Bronwyn walks on eggshells with Todd. I get the impression that she always has to stifle her emotions. If he upsets her, she never tells him, because when they played Angie's not so newlywed game on the trip, when Bronwyn said that she's the first to apologize if they get into it, I said, something's not right here. And I'm gonna say this, it might be controversial, but hey, these are my thoughts. I'm aware of power dynamics in age gap marriages, especially when the husband is making all the money. But I'm gonna just say this, the way my personality is set up, I'm not going to sit there and take somebody berating me just because they have money. And my whole thing is, look, I came from a little something myself, so I don't need to put up with nonsense, all right? You know what I'm saying? Like, my family has me, okay? So I don't need to put up with your verbal abuse or whatever, because I'ma still eat regardless. If you leave, I'ma still be okay. I can always go back home. You know what I'm saying? So that's my mentality, my personality. I couldn't sit there and allow somebody to talk to me like I'm worthless or I'm nothing because they have the money. That's just not going to happen. Not in this lifetime or the next. So if I were Bronwyn, this conversation would have went a little bit differently, because it's one thing for you to feel like I was wrong or I didn't handle something correctly, but for you to just sit there and completely berate me like that and talk down to me, we would have an issue. And maybe I'm seeing this in the wrong way. Maybe I'm being too reactive about it, and that's fine. I welcome different opinions, but personally, I did not like the way he spoke to her. And reading between the lines, Todd was low-key telling her to quit this show. And Todd, my issue with you is that clearly you've never watched an episode of The Real Housewives, because any boyfriend, fiance, or husband who gets on this show with their wife, they've seen an episode or two, they know what it entails. So for you to say, well, just leave and I don't like this behavior, it's not becoming of you, baby, you should have told Bronwyn not to join the show in the first place, because I don't know what to tell you. This is how it goes down. Did anybody else notice when Bronwyn said that Todd doesn't want her to express her emotions publicly or privately? I said, girl, what does that mean? Now, y'all know that I love Angie, but we're going to skip past this scene because this scene had me sobbing. When I tell you, just a lot of emotions throughout it all. She's talking about her deceased mother, hearing her story in depth, and I just send Angie and her father so much love. But we're going to move right on along because I don't feel like crying today, okay? I'm in great spirits. I feel like I cry enough. So now it's the day of Mary's breakfast at Tiffany's theme breakfast / brunch. We see that she has a red carpet set up. She has her staff outside waiting to walk each lady in. She has security to check folks in. I said, I know that's right. Bronwyn arrives first. I thought that Bronwyn looked cute, definitely giving Audrey Hepburn for sure. She had the little fake bangs. She had a cute outfit on. She had that yellow dress on. She looked good. So she's the first one to arrive, and it's a bit awkward. Nobody else is there. And she says that she's usually fashionably late, but because she's afraid of Mary, she's right on time. So now we see Meredith arrive, and Meredith, you killed it with the outfits. You're a beautiful woman, but Miss Mamas, those fake bangs that you had on your head. I said, girl, what is this? Because even Bronwyn said, now, girl, I don't know what that octopus on her head is, but okay. And I said, now, Meredith, those bangs were full, and you were better off not doing them, but I love how you were really trying to get into the theme. So they're making small talk. Bronwyn's asking Meredith how she's doing. And Meredith says that she's been working really hard. So Bronwyn says, well, that's good. As for me, I've been, doing my thing. But the other day, Todd pretty much berated me and sat me down to lecture me about my behavior on the trip. So Meredith is like, oh my gosh, what? He did? And Bronwyn says, yeah, girl, he was not pleased. So Meredith says that it's a hard line because she doesn't yell. So to be in this group, it can be challenging. And I said, now, Meredith, girl, let's not do that because we have seen you yell and storm off and raise your voice. You've done that several times. Now, Bronwyn, I don't know if it's the best idea to tell people in your friend group that your husband sat you down and berated you about your behavior like you're a child, because that would definitely send some red flags in my mind about your marriage. But that's just me. But I don't think that I would share that with anybody. I'd keep that between me, the good Lord, and a marriage counselor and a divorce attorney. So Mary comes down to join them, and Mary looks good. So Mary says that she loves having events and throwing parties when she has a lot on her mind, and with this mess with her son, Rob Jr., it's a way for her to escape. So now we see Lisa arrive, and Lisa comes in with this Tiffany blue Fendi jumpsuit, and mind you, Mary has that same jumpsuit, and she wore that 2 years ago when she was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy. So she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Lisa would come in here with the same jumpsuit. So Lisa says, well, I was front row at the Fendi show in New York City, and I bought it right then. And Mary probably went to Bergdorf's and bought it off the rack, but I saw it first. Now, Lisa, I understand all that. The jumpsuit is fab, but for a breakfast at Tiffany's theme, why couldn't you just show up in a cute dress? A sexy black dress in honor of the movie? I don't know. I mean, I guess Bronwyn didn't show up in a black dress either, but she was still on theme. But either way, I felt like Lisa kind of missed the mark for me because it was pretty much like another day. Lisa always looks like that. But either way, she came in with her Fendi jumpsuit, the same one as Mary's, and she does not care. Whitney arrives, she looks good, and Whitney had me screaming. She said, my biggest fear is looking just like Meredith. Meredith, why would you put those fake bangs on? Angie looks fantastic, killed the whole theme, had her hair up in a bun, beautiful. So now Heather arrives, and Heather was not on theme whatsoever. I said, girl, did you not get the memo? Why are you showing up in this cream-colored sweater and skirt? That's not breakfast at Tiffany's at all. I was like, did you even try? But anyway, Heather swears that she's a mean girl, so she goes up and hugs everybody except for Bronwyn. So Bronwyn's like, really? Like, I'm right here, but whatever. So Mary's like, Heather, did you give Bronwyn a kiss and a hug? And Heather's like, no, I didn't. And I said, girl, that's fine. Because if I were Bronwyn, I would have paid you dust. The minute you walked into the room, I would have turned my back, went right to that bar, gotten another drink, and I would have ignored you. And Bronwyn, I was upset that you let Heather get the best of you because you were visibly upset that she ignored you. I would never let anybody, but especially Heather, get that satisfaction. Baby, I'm the queen of ignoring people. I can ignore you with the best of them. And the funniest part about it is if somebody did this to Heather, she'd be the first one crying and whining about it. Again, Bronwyn, don't pay Heather any mind. At the end of the day, who is Heather? Heather does not have a heaven or a hell to put you or anybody else in. So just off of that alone, I would pay her dust. I would not care. Girl, I don't want to talk to you either. I left you out of my Palm Springs trip, so there's that. So now it's time for them to go into Mary's dining room and sit down and eat. So they sit down, they're admiring the table, and mind you, Mary had bought them these cute Tiffany journals. So they're like, oh my gosh, Mary, thank you so much. It's so pretty. So Angie points out Brittany's place card, and she says, oh, was not expecting to see her name there. And Mary says, well, I only invited her because I want to show her that I'm not poor. I said, Mary, what?
So I'm thinking,
no
are you
money,
broke?
yes, no money problems whatsoever. That's Tony Braxton. That's not me.
So they're all laughing, and now Angie says, with your Versace plays, Brittany will definitely know that you're not poor. So now Angie brings up some historic fact about Abraham Lincoln having Versace plates. They said, girl, what? So Lisa and Heather are both like, girl, Gianni Versace and Abraham Lincoln were not even around at the same time. They were like 100 years apart, even more than that. So I doubt that Abe Lincoln had Versace. Now Brittany arrives, and Brittany's also not on theme, and they were like, did you not receive the same invitation? And Mary says, no, she got the same invitation. And I said, Brittany and Heather looked the worst out of everybody. They were not on theme. They missed the mark completely. I don't know what Brittany was wearing, but it damn sure was not breakfast at Tiffany's. So now Mary stands up to give a toast. She thanks them all for coming. And now you have Heather being messy. She interjects and she says, yes, Mary, I want to say thank you for including all of us because some of us were excluded from a trip. So thank you for inclusion. This whole passive aggressive behavior is not it. And you look dumb. And see, I'm good and petty because I would have ignored you. I don't care that you feel a way about it. You're the one who came into my house disrespecting me, calling me everything but a child of God. But you think that I'm supposed to care that your feelings are hurt, that I left you out? No, ma'am. So here's where things get awkward. Brittany interjects and she's like, wait, I noticed that you guys are all visibly tanner. So the 5 of you guys went on the trip with your husbands, and then the 3 of us, me, Mary, and Heather, were left out. And I said, well, no, that's not true. Only you and Heather were left out. Mary was invited. She declined her invitation because of the issues with her son. So Brittany goes on to complain and whine about how Mary was the only person in this group who invited her somewhere. And now Brittany turns to Angie and she says, and by the way, Angie, I invited you to my home and you brought a bottle of wine to a nice family night. So I'm just like, Brittany, are you serious right now? So she goes on to say that if Angie had given her the bottle in private or just one-on-one, she wouldn't have minded it, but for her to give it in front of a church group is unacceptable. Now, hold on, because if you go back and watch that episode, nobody was paying any attention to when Angie walked in and gave her that wine. Another thing, when you go to somebody's house, you do bring a hostess gift because you don't go to anybody's house empty-handed. So a bottle of wine, flowers, a dessert, a candle, food, those are all considered hostess gifts. So Angie was not wrong to bring you a bottle of wine. You just want to do the most for no reason. So Brittany keeps going on and on about how bringing a Mormon wine is unacceptable. And I said, are we really doing this right now? Brittany, you drink. And I loved how Whitney jumped in and said, you're drinking champagne right now. So you have Brittany saying that she does it in private, but she still goes to church. And I said, it's not a secret anymore because you're on national TV, hon. So guess what? Your whole church is going to see you drinking wine and champagne and tequila and vodka. So the secret is out. And Miss Angie had me gagged when she said, girl, stop. You're drinking all the time. You're doing 3 men. So for you to want to sit up here and act like you're this goody two-shoes Mormon, please stop.
I'm just scoot on over and let you whack him. Get him again. Get him for me.
So Brittany's like, wait, what? I'm not doing 3 guys. I said, Brittany, weren't you telling us how you've been dating all these men? And that's not a bad thing. That's what a single woman should do. Date, explore your options, have fun. But for you to now act like you've never said that and you're not doing that, and production even showed the clips when you and Angie went out and you were like, oh yeah, I'm seeing this guy and I'm seeing this guy and I'm also dating that guy. Angie wasn't wrong. Miss Angie ate and left no crumbs. I said, please whack her again. And now we cut to Mary's confessional And Mary says, well, I don't know about all the guys that Brittany's dating, but what I do know is that Jared keeps sliding in my DMs. Now, at first, I thought that Mary was joking. Baby, when production showed the screenshots, Jared's talking about, oh, Mary, when you prayed that prayer, I just knew that you were like a sister. You're such a beautiful and amazing human being, and I want to get to know you more. I said, wait. I said, not Jared Osmond liking Mary. Wouldn't that be something if Mary starts dating Jared? I said, Miss Brittany, while you're sitting up there yelling at Angie over some wine, you might want to keep your eyes peeled on Miss Mary Cosby because she's about to steal your man. Well, he's not your man, but you know what I'm saying. But when I tell y'all, I could not stop laughing. I said, this is chef's kiss. You couldn't write this. So the producer goes on to ask Mary if she's told Brittany about Jared sliding in her DMs. And she says, no, I don't want that drama. I don't want that soap opera in my life. And I said, girl, I understand that. But just keep that piece of information in your back pocket when you need to, when the time is right. When Brittany tries you again, just pull that out there. Like, oh yeah, by the way, girl, your man who doesn't want you, he wants me. But now Brittany shares the real reason why she's felt on edge, and that's because she feels excluded. So Lisa jumps in and says, Brittany, I never thought to check on you about the trip because you've said so many rude things about Todd and Bronwyn's marriage. I had no idea that you even wanted to go on the trip. So Bronwyn jumps in and she's like, exactly. You've called me a gold digger. You've questioned my attraction for my husband, and you've said such nasty things. So Brittany's denying it, and then she says, well, everybody was thinking it, and now you have Heather jumping in, and she's like, why don't you guys have a prenup? I said, girl, who the F do you think you are? How dare you question her about what her and her husband have going on regarding their finances? You are so pressed about that. Why do you care so much? Now again, Bronwyn is one of the best readers on this cast. Besides Mary, Bronwyn's it. Because Bronwyn says, now girl, you've opined many times about what my husband should have done, and it really blows me because you've never met him. So now you have Heather mocking her. And I said, why are you going to sit up here and mock her when you brought this whole thing up in the first place? So Heather really thought she ate with this because she says, well, I know 3 things about your husband. I know that you don't have a prenup, he collects Starbucks mugs, and he's an asshole to people when he wants them to leave couples trips. So Bron was like, oh, okay, so I see that Lisa told you what happened on the trip. And Lisa looks visibly nervous because she knows that Bronwyn is about to eat her up too. So Mary's trying to broker peace between Heather and Bronwyn, and she interrupts. She says, may I say something real quick? Bronwyn actually does care about your friendship, and she wants you guys to get along and be cool. And of course, Heather's being a smartass, so she says, well, if that's the case, then she would have invited me on the trip. And I said, what are you not getting? What's not clicking in your pea brain? You came to that lady's house, disrespected her, did not take any ownership or accountability, but you still thought that you were owed an invitation? The logic is off. So Bronwyn jumps in and she reveals that she did want Heather to come on the trip, but things went left. And then she says, and by the way, Heather, I actually bought you a first-class return ticket. So Heather's like, well, how'd you buy me a ticket then if you didn't have my information? So Bronwyn says, well, I asked around. I asked for your full name and your birthday. And Heather says, no, you didn't, because nobody here knows my birthday. I've lied to everybody in this room about when my birthday is. And you know how when somebody is trying to purposely misunderstand you, they don't want to see things from your side, they want to fight with you? That's what Heather's doing when it comes to Bronwyn. It's clear that she does not like Bronwyn because the constant jabs. Everything that Bronwyn said, she said the opposite. I said, girl, I'm not doing this. You just want to be a contrarian just to irritate Bronwyn. Again, if I were Bronwyn, I would have stopped talking. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to entertain this. I'm not going to waste precious breath on Heather. But now the whole topic of the seat situation comes up because Heather sarcastically asks, well, who took my first-class ticket then that Bronwyn so generously got for me? So Angie says, well, not us. And now Lisa brings up how she was in coach and they were all upset about it. And she tries to call out Angie and throw her under the bus. So Angie says, look, I was fine with flying coach back. I didn't care. I was grateful. So Lisa's like, no, you weren't. You were upset too, remember? You were really upset. Lisa, the only person who was upset was you. You went on and on and on about how you have not flown coach since you were in college and you can't believe this and you only fly first class. You were irate. Angie was the one who said, oh, you know, me and Sean are in 19D and 19C. They were like, it is what it is. It's a short flight. It's not that big of a deal. You were the only person who was that pressed. And I love how production showed the flashback of you complaining. The way Lisa remembers things is odd, because for her to try to act like Angie was the one complaining when it was her is bizarre. So here's where Miss Bronwyn Newport goes off. She says it's asinine to me that folks were complaining about a quick flight back home when I got the house, flew you guys on a private plane there, got everybody gifts, you and your husbands. We had a nice, beautiful dinner, took you guys to the racetrack, but yet you want to complain and bitch and moan about a quick 60-minute flight back home in coach. Really? So Heather, you deserve this read, because for you to twist your mouth and say to Bronwyn, so if it doesn't matter where everybody sat on a short flight, then why did you and your husbands fly first while they all flew coach? So the way Bronwyn did her big one, she says, because it was on my damn credit card, that's why. Heather was silent. I said, whack her again, sis. That was chef's kiss. I said Bronwyn 8. And Heather, that's what you get. I wish somebody would question me about where I place everybody on the flight when I'm the one who paid for everybody's flights. How dare you question me? And Heather, you weren't even there. So Heather and Bronwyn are still going back and forth. And now Whitney interjects and she says, look, Heather, I know that you have trauma and you're guarded about friendships. I get it, but you gotta let it go, girl. And now Heather's like, I know that, okay? I know that. And I know that I'm being tough on Bronwyn. I'm aware of that, but I'm just hurt because I lost my family and my friends are my chosen family. I said, again, girl, we don't care. That is no excuse to treat somebody poorly because of your issues. If you have all this hurt and pain and trauma about friendships and this, that, and the third, go and see the lady. And Heather, when it comes to you being so traumatized about what went down with you and Monica last season, girl, that's old news. Monica is no longer on the show. Bronwyn is not a weirdo like Monica. So this whole excuse makes no sense and you know it. You just want to be mean because Bronwyn threatens you. Bronwyn has you shook. Bronwyn has you rattled because you're afraid that she might replace you. But Bronwyn and Heather finally talk it out. They toast to trying to restart their friendship, start off on a clean slate. In my humble opinion, the half-assed apology that Heather gave to Bronwyn, that wouldn't cut it for me. For Heather to act like, oh, well, you know, I'm sorry that I did that. It's because I'm just so hurt and traumatized by what happened last year and I'm protective of my friends. No. Now, I did ask Bronwyn about her and Heather for the rest of the season, and Bronwyn told me that her and Heather are pretty good for the most part. One last question for you. What can we expect between you and Heather for the rest of the season? Do things get better?
Oh, girl, I think Heather and I are going to be A-okay. At least Heather, if you're listening, we can be A-okay. We have a moment of kumbaya and then we got to figure each other out. But I think I'm dying to be friends with Heather. I think we're going somewhere good.
So in the middle of all this going on, now Brittany gets up and she starts yelling, "What about me?" I said, girl, what about you? So Brittany says that she wants to have a kumbaya moment too. And Mary said, girl, well, it's your moment, it's your time, so have at it. So now Brittany apologizes to Bronwyn, and Bronwyn's not really here for the apology. She's like, Brittany, do you really mean this? Or are you just saying this because you feel like you have to say it? And Brittany's like, no, I really mean it. I'm sorry. So Bronwyn's like, okay, girl, like, I guess. So now Mary interjects and says that it's time for them all to listen to each other and get what they have to say out. And now Angie addresses Meredith. So when I tell y'all, I don't know about you, but as for me, I have grown weary and exhausted of this whole beef between Meredith and Angie. It's been going on now since season 3, when Angie was a friend of the show. I'm tired. And I feel like we've lost the plot as to why they're so upset. especially Meredith. I feel like Meredith wants to hold on to this grudge with Angie, and it's getting weird because Angie has tried to make amends with Meredith, and it feels like Meredith just wants to be mean to her. But let me know what you guys think. But Angie goes on to say that she has unresolved feelings towards Meredith and Seth regarding them bringing up Sean's appearance on the podcast. So Meredith says that all she did was bring up her unresolved feelings regarding her child, and then she says, you'd feel the same way if somebody spoke on your daughter, Electra. Now, for the last time, Sean did not say anything bad about Brooks. He said he feels like Meredith tried to use her son as a pawn to garner sympathy and support. That's it. That's all. That's not talking badly about somebody's child. That's mentioning their name, and that's it. Also, you can't compare your son to Angie and Sean's daughter. Their daughter is 12. Your son is 24, 25. That's a grown man. Electra is a minor. She's a child. And Meredith, again, I love you and all, but you're reaching. Sean did not say anything bad about your son, and you know it. So Angie says, look, I'm not trying to go backwards with you. So Meredith says, well, I don't want to go backwards either, because if I do, it won't be pretty for anybody. And Angie's like, girl, is that a threat? What are you saying right now? So Meredith says, no, it's not a threat. I'm just saying that I don't want to go backwards. And Meredith, I have to be honest. You do have a habit of throwing out innuendos, shade, thinly veiled threats. And then when folks call you out on it, you get angry and then you backpedal. Because to say that it won't be pretty if we go backwards, that implies that you're going to throw out something that could threaten or harm Angie and Sean. And you do this a lot. And that's their main issue with you. So now Whitney calls Meredith out and she says, well, that is a threat to say that you'll bring up the past. And now Angie says, yeah, you're the one who said it. So here goes Meredith being dramatic. And she's like, oh my gosh, I just can't talk. I can't say anything. And I said, Meredith, you can talk. Angie is allowing you to talk. But just because somebody calls you out on your BS, don't act like you can't talk now. I see right through the games that Meredith plays. Love her down, but Miss Mamas be trying it, especially during arguments. So Angie says, look, Meredith, all Sean said was, when you threw out, you don't want to go there about the husbands last year, it didn't land well. And we got a lot of support from the LGBT community, and they didn't like what you were implying either. So now Angie says that none of this would have happened had Meredith not opened up her mouth, and she's right. So now Meredith says, oh, Angie, you always do this, deny, deny, deny. So now she takes out her phone and plays the clip of what Sean said. So as she's playing the clip, she has her arms stretched out pretty much in Whitney's face because they're sitting across from each other. And now Whitney grabs her phone out of her hand and she's trying to turn the volume up. Now, in my humble opinion, it looked like Whitney was trying to scroll through that phone because we know that Whitney is messy and nosy. So Meredith starts yelling and she's like, give me my phone, give me my phone. So Whitney still has her phone. Now Meredith walks over to Whitney and yanks the phone out of her hand. The way she grabbed that phone out of Whitney's hand, I thought that they were about to start fighting because you could tell that Meredith wanted to slap Whitney. She's like, don't ever touch my phone again. And Whitney's like, girl, I'm trying to turn the volume up. Now again, I don't believe that. Whitney had me screaming, imitating Meredith in her confessional. She had those fake bangs on. I said, child, a hot mess. So now we see Meredith and Angie still going at it, and Angie says, Meredith, your issue is you're miserable, you're angry, you just want to have a problem. So now Meredith starts screaming back at her, and Mary's like, Angie and Meredith both shut up, be quiet, just stop it. So they're still going at it, and now you have Mary saying, again, both of y'all just be quiet, stop. If you guys don't want to listen, then you guys can both leave my house. So Meredith says, well, that's fine, I'm going to leave then. So Mary's like, girl, are you serious right now? You're really about to leave? And Meredith says, yes, I am, because you just told me to leave. So I said, Meredith, you know good and well that's not what Mary said. Mary said if you guys are not going to listen, then leave her house. She did not kick you out. Meredith is determined to be the victim, and it's getting on my nerves. So anyhow, we end the episode with Meredith walking over to Mary. She gives her a hug and says, I love you, Mary, but I'm hurt right now. So Mary's like, again, Meredith, are you serious? You're really about to leave? I did not kick you out my house. You know that. And then for Meredith to say that she's been attacked for the 8,000th time in this group, I said, oh my gosh. So Meredith leaves and she says that Mary and Angie can have a field day ripping her apart. I said, girl, bye. I'm totally on Mary's side. Mary did nothing wrong in my eyes. Mary did not kick her out the house. She just said, if you guys won't stop, then please leave. Maybe I'm seeing it the wrong way. Let me know. But Meredith wanted a moment because there was no reason for all these theatrics. But anyhow, we close out with Mary saying, she's gone, thank the Lord. She took those bangs with her because this is Audrey Hepburn, not the Flintstones. When I tell y'all, I gagged.
You know what? This is too much.
But she told no lies because those bangs were a fool. Again, SLC is in their bag. The ladies did their big one, and I am excited to see what the rest of this season holds for all of us. But Meredith, you were wrong for this. I don't understand why it had to go from 0 to 100. Nobody was screaming at you. You went off the deep end because you know that you're wrong in this whole debacle. But again, y'all, that was my recap. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you all for listening on the podcast. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.